the storms today to allow them to feed into these early cells that are getting going early this morning across parts of northern North Carolina, where these two tornado warnings are in effect. So if you live along Highway 158, you got about 12 minutes before this storm heads your direction, at least where the possible tornado would be. You're going to get some rain ahead of that, maybe even some hail ahead of that as well. But the possible tornado is about 10 to 11 minutes out of the 158 area between Roxborough and into the between Roxborough and Yanceyville, basically this morning.
Yeah, and looking at one of our other radar products, Ricky's got one of our products. We have several products we use. I've got some streets overlaid, Highway 86, Highway 49, and 119 also in this location. If you live near Leesburg, along Highway 158, I think Ricky just said 12 minutes before the rotation will be moving over your area there on Highway 158. So Alamance County has been able to be lifted from this tornado warning. So that a little section of Alamance County is no longer warned. But again, this cell really moving up to the Leesburg area, just between Yanceyville and Roxborough. So if you live in that location, you definitely need to be in your safe place. And Ricky, there could be times today where people are in their safe place multiple times throughout the day. So as we like to tell folks, you want to be in the lowest level of your home, and not a lot of people have basements. So you want to be in the lowest level, and you want to put as many walls between you and the outside. You want to keep all those barriers there, and just hunker down through the storm. It's a good idea to have some sort of protection for your head. We normally recommend helmets, and it could be a baseball helmet, a football, bicycle helmet, any of those helmets to protect your head, some sort of shoes if there is debris and you have to walk out, you don't want your feet cut, and also some eye protection to keep any debris from flying in your eye. So those are all some safety tips. If you live in Leesburg, that's what you need to be doing right now. And I'm not sure, I know where I live, spring break started today for the kids. So there may be a lot of kids who are at home and their parents are not there because they had to work today. So you may want to make sure that you're on the phone with your kids and just make sure they know what to do as these storms move into the area.
Yeah, I'm watching a couple more storms now, just getting going south of Yankville. We'll be interested to see if any of these get some spin to them just to the north and east of Harmony, basically paralleling Interstate 77 and where 421 and 601 come together to go into the Yankville area. That's where this storm's going to be heading very shortly. So watching that storm, and of course kind of putting our main focus on this tornado warning that still remains in effect for a little bit. I would say it's going to be very close for any of these counties here on the eastern side of this warning. This is going to be for Person County. The majority of the storm is probably going to stay on the other warning here for Caswell County. But then as the storm moves north again, could clip the northwestern portion of Person County, north of Leesburg, as you get to the north and west of Longhurst as well. So keep an eye up there as this possible tornado moves up to the north. Looking at, I'm on the Raleigh radar, one of my other sources. We're on the Blacksburg radar here. Kind of, this seems to always happen, stuck in between two radar sources here. When was that ever going to happen across the state of North Carolina? But monitoring basically two different radar sources at the same time, trying to get the best view of this possible tornado that moves up to the north and east here. So basically, as Scotty was saying, the Leesburg area, big heads up. That's where the highest threat of the tornado would be with this storm. As it continues to push off towards the north and east, around 45 miles per hour now. Picked up a little bit of speed as it's moving to the north and east. So Leesburg, anywhere basically in northwestern Person County, and of course right where the storm is now, which is going to be along Highway 86 and along State Highway 119. That's where you're going to want to be in your tornado safe place. Also along Barnell Road. All these are in Caswell County. The Egypt Road area over towards John Oakley Road. And Deer Run Road. Those are the four roads I'd be most concerned about for almost an immediate tornado potential moving into your area. And then a little bit further north from there, as we continue to call out some roads in the area, Ridgeville Road in Caswell County, Griers Church Road, and also towards Ridgeville Road. That's basically right south of the town of Leesburg. That's where this possible tornado will be heading towards. in just about 5 minutes. So you only have a little bit of time left in those areas before this possible tornado moves in. We're at 10:08 a.m. This tornado warning goes until 10:30 this morning. Once again, a radar indicated tornado, no spot or confirmation of any tornado on the ground, and I haven't seen any types of debris signatures popping up with this storm. But it's certainly in an area where the environment is favorable for severe weather and tornadoes this morning, hence why the Weather Service has gone ahead and warned this possible tornado uh, this morning for the Caswell County area and also the Person County area. That storm we were tracking earlier in Yancey for Stoke County has now pushed into the areas north and west of Martinsville, and that one's looking intense too. So you got any family or friends in the Martinsville area, heads up. This one's looking like a very strong mesocyclone and possible tornado just to the west of the town of Martinsville, heading towards Stanleytown and Bassett. So heads up for any of our viewers who may have some family or friends who live up in the Virginia area. And Scotty, let's go back to southwestern North Carolina. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's getting closer to the Morganton area. This is going to be north of Forest City and basically including parts of Interstate 40. It's going to go until 11 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, and this cell does have a history of producing some damage in Henderson County, and this is along that line of storms that we're expecting. So the damage and wind threat is the primary concern here. 60, possibly 70-mile-per-hour winds, and the Weather Service did put that tornado possible tag on there just because with these setups, we call them a QLCS, and basically what that means is we have these little S-curves in this line of storms, and anytime you see a little notch, it's possible that we'll have it's possible a quick spin up can happen just because we have winds coming from one direction, and those little notches mean that we're getting inflow from another direction. So they could produce some quick spin ups. I will say the Storm Prediction Center has a 95% chance of some convective watch being issued. I'm probably going to lean, and Ricky, chime in if you want. This probably will be a tornado watch because of the tornado perimeters, especially along and east of 77. But some sort of watch is going to be issued for much of North Carolina and South Carolina in the next little bit. I know there's a conference call going on right now between the weather offices, so that is something we will be able to relay once we get it. But I would probably have a feeling it's probably a tornado watch, Ricky, instead of a severe thunderstorm watch.
Yeah, I'd almost guarantee it's going to be a tornado watch just because of the risk overall from a couple of quick spin up tornadoes. They'll likely make that into a tornado watch.
Yeah, and so if you are here in McDowell, Burke County, this severe thunderstorm, you still got a little bit of time if you live in western Burke County. Some of the locations like James, Glen Alpine, up towards Fontaflora, Marion, over towards Dysertsville, Glenwood, along Interstate 40. This line of storms is going to be moving into your area in the next little bit. You can see the storm tracker, 10:30 for Morganton, 10:11 for Marion, 10:24 for Glen Alpine, 10:36 for Valdez. So this line of storms is moving into the areas. If you're on Interstate 40 between Morganton and Marion, it's getting ready to be a wet and windy commute. I know a lot of road construction going on through those areas, so you might want to just delay those plans for a little bit before let this initial line of storms pass through before you go out. But again, 60-mile-per-hour winds possible along Interstate 40, Highway 64, Highway 70, Highway 18, and then heavy rain. And that's another thing. I know Ricky was mentioning it just a little bit ago. There's already been some flash flood warnings issued for some locations in western North Carolina, southwestern North Carolina. The system we just went through a couple of days ago produced anywhere between 1 to 2 inches of rain, and this system could produce another 1 to 2, maybe even 3 inches in some locations. So flash flooding also a concern as these cells move through the area, and they're what we call, Ricky, is training. And so let's say Marion, for instance, may get a heavy rain shower, and then if they start to train another hour maybe before another heavy rain shower moves to that area as this front continues to move to the east. So we'll also watch that flash flood threat. So that severe thunderstorm warning goes until 11 a.m. for Burke County, and we can go back to this, I guess, tornado warning cell. Was it expired? Let's see. I haven't.
Still in effect for about another
still in effect.
That's going to be the tornado warning just near the Roxborough area. And I looped the radar here for you to talk about that little training. So even though the main line will come through, Scotty, there's a good amount of heavy rain on the backside of these showers and storms too. kind of going to exaggerate some of the flooding threats. So we'll have to watch that this afternoon. Look at the storms, though, east of here, east of the main line. Look how much faster these things are racing north. These things are picking up speed and rolling on this morning as they move across central North Carolina and western central North Carolina here, compared to the main line, which is moving a little bit slower overall. But these little individual cells are really racing off to the north and east. So still one tornado warning in effect for the Caswell County area and also Person County. We'll switch this back over to the main radar source and kind of clean things up a little bit here. We'll get off the storm track from the earlier storm and talk about this tornado warning that's in effect for Person County and Caswell County. Once again, Leesburg area, the main concern right now is towards you. You've got about 8 minutes before this possible tornado would move into your area as this storm continues to quickly race off towards the north and east. So not much time in Leesburg to get in that safe place. Lowest floor, interior room, hallway, bathroom, or closet is where you're going to want to be as this possible tornado approaches. Estimated time of arrival around 8:22, 8:08, 10:23, 10:22 this morning in those areas. And we'll have to see if the Weather Service decides to issue a new tornado warning or not for northwestern portions of Person County this morning. Person County, as the storm continues to push off towards the north and east. A very hard storm to kind of pinpoint exactly where the rotation is because it's in between a couple radar sources here this morning. The Blacksburg radar not getting a great read on, and neither is the Raleigh radar. But basically, the possible tornado would likely be in the southern side of this storm, right here on the southeastern side. If we were going to have a tornado, it'd be right down in here. That's where the best chance would be of a possible tornado as it continues to push off towards the north and east, towards the town of Leesburg, basically right along Highway 158 eastbound and Highway 158. So between Roxborough and the Yanceyville areas, a lot of people probably travel that between work or getting around the area. That's where this possible tornado would be this morning. Is heading right towards Leesburg. Once again, radar indicated tornado. No spotter confirmation of this, but you still want to take it seriously, especially on a day like today where there's good ingredients for severe weather and tornadoes in place, because a lot of times there's just not people around the storm to report on the damage or report a possible tornado until after it occurs. So any tornado warning that's issued, whether it's radar indicated or whether it is a spotter confirmation, you definitely want to take it seriously. And don't try to see it either. A lot of times our tornadoes in North Carolina are rain wrapped. They're hard to see, hard to spot on the if you go outside in your front porch and try to look for this thing. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your safety going outside and trying to find this tornado or waiting until it gets on top of you before you take shelter. Because a lot of times if you wait that long, it's going to be way too late, and the tornado threat will already be on top of you, and you can get to a pretty bad situation. So don't want anyone to have that happen to them today. So putting a radar into motion here, you can see the storm basically kind of moving more of a northerly track now, which makes me think that once again, most of the area here in this tornado warning for Person County, at least the one that's in effect right now, is going to be spared from this tornado risk. But the areas of Caswell County and the far eastern side towards Leesburg, and then also north and west of Roxborough, I'll kind of draw my own little box where I would be worried about there being a tornado threat. Basically, right through here, I would go ahead and keep in mind where you're going to go if a tornado warning is issued. No warning officially yet, but this storm will be moving up your direction, so not much time once the warning probably does come out to go ahead and get in that safe place. So once again, that's going to be the lowest floor, interior room, hallway, bathroom, or closet. And you're going to hear us repeating this a lot today if you stay tuned to our coverage. And the reason for that is because some people tune in at different times. Not everyone gets online the second the tornado warning is issued. Some people join us as our coverage is in progress. So you'll hear us say some of the same things over and over and over again. And it's not just because we don't have anything different to talk about. It's just because as the storms move through the area, different people join at different times. We want to make sure everyone has the information they need as these severe thunderstorms push off through North Carolina this afternoon, with the risk for damaging winds and tornadoes. A wide view of North Carolina now shows that majority of our severe weather is just kind of confined to these couple counties. Basically, the tornado warning we've been tracking and the line of strong to severe storms that's now developing out towards the west, towards portions of What counties are those? Is that Rutherford County, Scotty?
Yeah, Rutherford County, Polk County, McDowell, and Henderson, and even a little sliver of western Burke County. And then we see a new severe thunderstorm warning going up there on the Interstate 85, just outside of Anderson, South Carolina. So that is the newest warning. I will say there is the possibility of a tornado watch being issued. We're just not sure what counties those will be, but that watch is being drawn up and discussed right now, so we'll be able to give that information out shortly. Looks like the tornado for Franklin and Henry County, Virginia, continuing. But a few folks who are watching tonight, right now, a lot of them just saying thank you for our coverage, but Ricky, if you want to, we've got one person, Victoria, asking about Robeson County, and that is in our moderate risk of seeing severe storms. So let's kind of talk about that, what we're expecting today. Like you said, these two storm systems confined to northern North Carolina and then over the southwest foothills in the upstate. But this is a moderate risk for anyone. I would say, I want to even say the main risk zone is between Interstate 77 and 95 in South and North Carolina, but that moderate risk kind of extends a little bit outside of Interstate 95. But if you live in Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh, Lumberton, Fayetteville, down towards Florence and Myrtle Beach, just outside of Columbia, and I think even down to Charleston, you are under that moderate threat. And that's a level 4 of 5. And that just means that we're going to see numerous storms develop today. And some of those storms could be quite strong to severe and even produce some damaging winds and tornadoes. That orange section that you see for the New Bern and over towards Hickory and Wilkesboro, down into Gaffney and Saluda, that is what we call the enhanced risk. Just a little less coverage in severe storms, but nonetheless, you could see a few damaging wind events and a few isolated tornadoes. And then outside of that, we have the slight risk, which covers more like Asheville and the Outer Banks down towards Anderson, South Carolina. And that's just because of the timing. Ricky was discussing this a little bit earlier. The storms are going now through those areas, but we've just not got into that peak daylight heating yet. So those locations are in that slight risk. So Ricky, it could be a very dangerous day, especially for our friends in central and eastern North Carolina and northeast South Carolina.
Yeah, let's put on a couple different probabilities here. So this is the tornado probability in this kind of yellow area you see across basically where the moderate risk has been drawn. That's where the 10% tornado risk is. And 10% probably doesn't sound like much. You're like, hey, well, on a 0 to 100 scale, that's only a 1 out of 10. Well, you got to remember, it's not exactly how the scale works. It's actually a probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point. And so that 10% is pretty high overall, especially for North Carolina. We don't see 10% too often around here. And when we do, we typically get some tornadoes in them. So seriously, if you live in the 10% risk today, take that seriously because that's where the best chance of any tornadoes are going to be. And then those 5 and 2% areas, which is still a pretty elevated risk, extend outside of there towards Charlotte, into Greenville, and then into Elizabeth City for that lower risk. The hail risk, relatively low today. Not expecting a ton of hailstones, but we could see some large hail in a few spots. And then the biggest threat is going to be wind. This bright pink area, that's where a 45% wind threat exists this afternoon. That's significant. That's a moderate risk. That's a pretty big risk for wind overall. We don't see that very often across North Carolina. And we look at the significant wind area. These are where winds over 70 miles per hour could occur later this afternoon, and those can cause some significant damage when they move through. So Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh, Greenville, Fayetteville, Emporia, the infield area, Wilmington, Jacksonville, Myrtle Beach, down into Orangeburg, and also Charleston. Heads up, this is a pretty significant risk for some strong gusty winds this afternoon that could cause some significant damage. So you definitely want to have a plan in place for if severe weather moves into your area this afternoon. And, of course, several severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings in effect at this hour as well that we're still monitoring across parts of northern central North Carolina, where this tornado warning continues until about 10:30 this morning before parts of Caswell County. Person County, I'd go ahead and give the all clear for this tornado warning that in effect for you right now, I do not believe that there's a threat with that tornado warning, at least inside the box where this has been drawn. But certainly there in Caswell County, heads up, the tornado risk continues for you guys.
And Ricky, let's go down to the upstate of South Carolina, near Seneca, and that is also a severe thunderstorm warned. And we haven't really talked much about that, so let's pull that one up, and we can get the radar data going in. So here's the severe thunderstorm warning. This goes until, let me pull it up here in chat. This goes until 10:30 a.m. So just another couple of minutes with this cell. But it's moving in Seneca. So if you Seneca, Clemson, and I'm not sure if James hears us in the control room, maybe we could pop up the Clemson camera. And eventually, if this severe thunderstorm continues with its characteristics, Clemson, Central, 6 Mile, Liberty, South Carolina also could be included in this severe thunderstorm warning. So I think we've got the Clemson camera up right now, and you can see those lowering in the clouds there as this line of severe thunderstorms moves through the area. So these cloud bases are closer to the ground, and so it doesn't take much for those storms to, if they get spinning, to get to the ground. Here's another view. This is from the football stadium, and you can see all the dark, low-hanging clouds there. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning goes for another 5 minutes or so here in the South Carolina area. We're waiting for the Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center to come out with their latest watch. So most likely, Ricky and I were just discussing a little bit ago here on coverage, that would be a tornado watch. We just don't know the counties that'll be issued, but with this moderate and enhanced risk, I would say it's probably going to be a large chunk of North and South Carolina. Panelist Melissa Griffin sent us a message just a little bit ago and talking about how the skies were clearing in the Columbia, South Carolina area. And Ricky, if any place in the area sees any clearing of skies, any sunshine for a long, even moderate duration of time, that's just going to help destabilize the atmosphere. And we really expect these storms to really get strong to severe once they get to the Charlotte area and then push eastward into northeast South Carolina and eastern North Carolina. So that is the severe weather that is going on right now. So we will pull up the latest radar here Ricky's got going. The severe thunderstorm warning continues for Anderson County, South Carolina, and Oconee, and that goes for another couple of minutes. Let's see, it's 10:26 right now, so for another 4 minutes, 60-mile-per-hour wind and some small hail with that storm. So,
Scott, I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The warning that we had in effect has been allowed to expire here as you get closer to 10:30. The Weather Service believing that the risk for the tornado has decreased there, so all the tornado warnings that we had in effect have either expired or really should be canceled here because this one for Person County is not anywhere near where the tornado would be. So that one we can consider, I think, expired too. So really now it's these severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for parts of South Carolina and also across parts of Western North Carolina that we have to keep our eyes on. And you look into the radar here, it looks like, we kind of have little individual cells kind of forming within the line too. New severe thunderstorm warning now for the Pickens area, the Salem area, and Clemson. As we were talking about that line of strong to severe storms pushing into Clemson, we showed you the camera just a second ago. And now we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that's just been issued for parts of Pickens County, Greer County, and also into Anderson County.
And so, Ricky, just looking, just came across Weather Chat. National Weather Service in Greenville's Oconee County 911 reporting several trees and power lines down throughout the county. So that's why they just issued that severe thunderstorm warning you were talking about. So this storm does have a history of producing some damage and winds per Oconee County 911 Center. Several trees and power lines knocked down in the area.
Yeah, here's a storm track for that storm that just got the severe thunderstorm warning on it. And this is going to be for Oconee County and also Pickens County. Excuse me, I misspoke earlier when I said some other counties included in that. Not included in that yet is the Greenville County area. But Pickens County and Oconee County, you're included in this severe thunderstorm warning. So Clemson, basically right about now, the storm is going to be on your doorstep. at least where the risk for damaging winds are. That may be delayed a little bit, but you're certainly seeing some rain pushing into your area right now. 6 Mile coming up here on 1040 for the risk for some strong gusty winds, and also eventually into the Pickens area around 1048 this morning. That's going to be the areas that we're most concerned about in terms of severe weather from this storm and the new severe thunderstorm warning that's just been issued. Let's kind of reset everything, Scotty. It is 10:29 this morning, so let's zoom out. Let me clear all my tracks off of our radar software here, and we'll do a kind of a wide reset. We'll turn on the national radar and turn off our local radar data, and you can see we've got the main line of showers and storms still out towards the west. I'll get both states in here. A lot of South Carolina is clear at this hour. We're seeing some sunshine come out across South Carolina, which is going to increase the severe weather risk this afternoon across that state. And then across parts of North Carolina, we're seeing Fayetteville, Lumberton, and Taylor City seeing some heavy rain at this hour. We're standing by for the issuance of a tornado watch for a good portion of western and perhaps central North Carolina and South Carolina. And that should be coming out here momentarily. The Weather Service Storm Prediction Center giving us a heads up a little bit ago to expect that tornado watch here soon because of the risk for some of these rotating thunderstorm cells this afternoon. And that main threat is going to be from some of these storms that have the risk for tornadoes with them. In fact, there goes the weather radio here. So it must include part of my area too, or at least enough of western North Carolina to where I go off. So that tornado watch, let's find out.
The Weather Service has issued Tornado Watch number 88, effective until 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This watch includes the following counties in North Carolina: Ashe, Avery, and Watauga. Remember, a tornado watch means the conditions are favorable for the development of severe weather, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds in and close to the watched area. While severe weather may not be imminent, persons should remain alert for rapidly changing weather conditions and listen for later statements and possible warnings. Stay tuned to NOAA weather radio, commercial radio and television outlets, or internet sources for the latest severe weather information.
All right, so there you go. Right from the mouth of the weather radio, there's our new tornado watch. It's going to be in effect until 5 o'clock, and this is going to include basically areas from the mountains all the way east. Don't know exactly how far east it goes yet. Let me see if I can get a visual map to pop up here. There's one. So this is going to go include the Winston-Salem area, Charlotte, Raleigh. Basically from about Fayetteville west is included in this watch for North Carolina, Greenville, Rock Hill, Anderson, along 26 and 85. You're included in this tornado watch. And also going further north into Virginia, this tornado watch also in effect for you guys. So that's going to be in effect until 5 p.m. this afternoon. And the main threat with that, of course, is the risk for tornadoes, strong gusty winds, heavy rain, and maybe even a little bit of small hail. So we'll wait for that watch to pop up in our system here and kind of show you exactly where it is. It's not populated into our graphic system yet. There it is. Well, apparently all I have to do is ask for these things, and they pop right in. Nice. So there is the tornado watch on kind of a visual view. So this includes the Greensboro area, once again, Hickory, Marion, Charlotte, Asheboro, Sanford, Raleigh, Oxford, down in South Carolina, Rock Hill, Gaffney, into the Lawrence area, Greenwood area, parts of Union County included in that, Chester County, you are included in that, and then as far west basically as Oceana County included in that. Actually, they're not included in that because that line's coming through there, but from Pickens County and Anderson County east, you're included in that tornado watch. So 5 o'clock, when that watch is in effect till, so heads up there. Scotty, looks like a long afternoon of severe weather.
Definitely so. And Ricky, I'm going to post this on our social pages, so give me just a moment here while I get that posted out for our followers here. So this tornado watch, this is what, number 3 or 4 in the past week for the area. I think it's been a while since the Carolinas and portions of Tennessee, East Tennessee, Virginia has seen a pretty big severe weather season. And April 2019 is really kicking that off here with several tornado watches and warnings. So again, a lot of the area in North Carolina, the Piedmont, and northeast South Carolina are under this moderate risk of severe weather. And that just means that we're going to see numerous severe thunderstorms move through the area. And those will be capable of producing damaging winds and tornado. And Ricky, if you can, pull up that tornado probability graphic again, and we can kind of highlight the areas that the Storm Prediction Center is kind of honing in on to see where we could see tornadoes develop. Let me... And I want to say right now, I don't believe we have any tornado warnings. I've been getting this out on our social pages, so I've not kept up in the last 5 minutes, but I don't think we have any current tornado warnings ongoing right now. So that is a good sign, but this tornado watch is out for a big portion of North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina until 5 p.m. and even into portions of Virginia. So I think we've got that graphic up so you can see the and Ricky, you're talking about that 10% risk, which doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but us in the weather world, we know that's kind of heightens our sense of awareness as we see the threats come out. So that would include portions of Charlotte, or at least East Charlotte, the Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Durham area, Fayetteville and Lumberton, down into Florence, Columbia, Sumter, South Carolina, Lancaster, South Carolina, Rockingham, North Carolina. So that is kind of the bullseye for tornadic development. And then as you can see, the brownish colors, that's more of a 5% chance, and the greens there a little bit less than that. So we definitely could see a tornado or two in those areas, but that main area that we were watching is from Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh, over to Rocky Mount, down to Fayetteville, Lumberton, into Florence, Sumter, and Columbia, South Carolina. And Ricky, we just came off the anniversary of April 16, 2011. This is kind of some of the same area that saw that severe weather outbreak back in 2011. So those people, especially in the Raleigh area, are probably nervously watching today and anticipating the chance of seeing several strong storms in the area.
For sure, yeah. Of course, a little bit different setup for April 16th. We were dealing with a much higher tornado risk across the area, but certainly this afternoon, the risk is there for a quick spin-up tornado, and also the main threat being those damaging winds. So you certainly want to remain weather aware this afternoon as these strong severe storms push across the area. With no tornado warnings in effect, it's 10:36 this morning. We're watching a couple severe thunderstorm warnings move across the area. Why don't we take a quick little break here, Scotty? We'll kind of let the radar loop in the background, and as a result, we'll kind of just regroup, reset everything here, kind of behind the scenes, and wait to see what the weather does here for the next little bit, and see if we get any new tornado warnings. Yeah,
well, let's do that. I will say the SPC will probably include some of the counties around the Columbia metro area. Melissa Griffin just telling us that, so we could see a local extension of that tornado watch here in just a little bit. But again, you're in that primary zone of seeing some weather, severe weather anyway. So looks like McDowell County power lines down. So that was from those severe storms that moved through earlier. So yeah, we'll reset here. We'll continue to watch radar, and if anything breaks out, we will break back in. I think James is in our control room. So James, if you want to, we can go to some pre-recorded programming with our radars up, and we will break back in when severe weather breaks out.